And we're going to talk about something a little different here. Mm-hmm. This is not something you've been involved with. Cultural appropriation. I feel like it has gotten to the point where now I have to comment on this like I'm some sort of weird prophet or something. I don't know. When I was young, cultural appropriation didn't exist.
No.
I don't even think we called it assimilating. It was just, you like what you like, who cares where or who it came from.
Yeah, like, I remember growing up in, like, high school, we talked about how America's dream was kind of, it wasn't assimilation, it was the melting pot. That
yes.
All these things will come together, and, you know, we kind of live in harmony because we all, because parts of every society becomes one. I mean, what does American food look like? I mean, it came from everywhere.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why we have such gastric distress most time. I know, I certainly do.
Because we kept the good tasting stuff.
But I live really close to a Taco Bell, so that makes sense. When I was a kid, there was no such thing. You didn't appropriate culture so much as culture appropriated you. Follow me on this. I go to a public school for the first time in my life, just for 1 year. One of the best years I've ever had, I can actually say, completely without any sarcasm. Before then, I had been forced to go to a private fucking Catholic school. Just slit my wrists.
If you want to go hammer your list of complaints on the door, we can do that.
I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to say no to that. I'm going to have to think about that. So, I go to public school. I'm wearing just my regular clothing. I didn't think it mattered. I was wearing jeans and like a shirt. The kicker was I was wearing, I want to say they were either Reeboks or Skechers. I'm going to say Skechers shoes. Every kid in my class thought that was hilarious. And here's the weird thing. I got picked on in my previous school constantly for every little thing. At this school, the only thing I got picked on for was that and the fact that I was white. And it was just kind of like, it was the least mean-spirited bullying I've ever dealt with. Like, it wasn't even, they didn't even really care. They were just like, you're wearing Skechers. What the hell's wrong with you? Next day, they like, essentially, my new friends basically tried to pimp me out. Pimp my Adrian. That sounded wrong because that technically means they were whoring me. I meant it in the pimp my ride sort of way. So I go to essentially the Nike store. I get Nike straps. Bullshit shoes, cost way too much. If you wear them or Air Jordans, you're only doing it for status, and you're a fucking retard. I hope you die. So I get Nike straps, not the most comfortable shoes in the world, not even the coolest looking, and then I realized somebody's going to mug me for my new shoes. Why the fuck would I? This was all a ploy to get free crap out of me. No, so I get those, I get really baggy jeans, and I get like a white t-shirt that comes down to my knees. I should have just wore a dress. And I show up to school, and everybody's like, yeah, right on, look at this motherfucker, he's got... And everybody just accepted, they were just, yeah, okay. You're one of us now, get in here.
Cultural appropriation happened to you.
I was appropriated by inner city culture, and you know what? I loved it. We live in the suburbs now, and I hate it here. I miss the sound of gunshots, domestic disturbances, cats getting run over in the night. I miss hearing the train I'm getting teary-eyed here. I loved the ghetto more than I've ever loved a woman. I can say that. I had a love affair. Like, you know, people will be like, I had a love affair with the Southwest. It's so beautiful. No, I had a love affair with the ghetto.
I would call it Stockholm Syndrome.
Maybe. Who knows? Point is, I never wanted to escape. I was caught in a web that I was all too... I was, like, wrapped in silk.
That's amazing.
But,
yeah, I mean, yeah, like, they don't... And I think that's a big point, and that is that the people who notice cultural appropriation, we talked about this right before the video.
Cultural procreation?
Yeah, cultural appropriation.
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 As in you're appropriate. I forgot that you always get words wrong.
The thing is, people who talk about that, they're always white.
Yeah.
They're always white people.
The whole...
You know, your sister-in-law is Japanese, and I remember she went off on a thing about how some white person went off on some mother who let her kid have a Japanese-themed party, because it's cultural appropriation.
I think Japan would disagree, because
And-
Japan has
yeah.
American-themed shit all the time.
I mean, someone else from Japan, said, no, we think this is fine. And like you said,
Cool.
your sister-in-law Aika, she's like, yeah, this is fine. Nobody else cares. And now they're taking away Halloween from us because it's
not inclusive. Okay, first of all, Halloween, I would argue, is the most inclusive holiday, especially today. Now, the only thing I can think of is the candy, but you know what? There are all kinds of movements to leave a teal jack-o'-lantern outside your house to let the kids know you have sugar-free, gluten-free candy that's not made in a factory where they have nuts, so there's no risk of allergies.
So the kids know which house not to go to.
There are plenty of conscious people these days that think of that and probably bulk buy a bunch of okay, this one has no gluten, this one's good for nut allergies.
And here's some sugar-free gummy bears.
Yeah, there you go. Frankly, it's there are plenty of treats you could give to a diabetic kid. There's plenty of stuff. Hell, instead of giving them candy, give them DVDs or some shit. I don't know. There's the possibility of getting better stuff than candy, is what I'm saying.
I saw a picture somebody was giving out rotisserie chickens to kids.
If I was a diabetic kid and somebody gave me a rotisserie chicken, that would have made my night. I'd be like, okay, we're going home. Just been eating a leg on the way home. So yeah, when we were young, this kind of crap didn't exist, and I'm just going to go ahead and blame the person who is to blame. Thank you, Barack Obama. Thank you. It is not a coincidence that during your 8 years, all of this shit came about. I'm sorry, it's that administration's fault.
Obama.
That's the first non-sarcastic thanks Obama I've ever done. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, before all
Asshole.
this, 8 years ago, these people weren't this bold, and now they...
What do you mean, these people? See? I would have never made that joke 8 years ago.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what... People like this weren't that bold. They kind of...
Yeah.
They had other things to complain about. Believe it or not, more important things to complain about than this. And then they got what they wanted for 8 years. And...
Now complacency sets in.
And now they're like, well, wait, are we supposed to just keep getting what we want?
We have to keep getting our way, and if we don't, we'll scream louder.
Yeah. Sorry, Trump's winning now.
Trump.
Oh, gosh.
That's you couldn't even get into an argument with me anymore, because I'm just going to look at you and go, hey, Trump. He tweets every 3 minutes. I know you hate your life because of that, and I'm glad. And you know what? I am glad.
Yeah.
Because here, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here. There are so many people out there that have this attitude these days that 2 wrongs make a right. Like the fact that this goes back to cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation.
Appropriation, yeah.
This goes back to that to me, it just seems like this attitude that they're trying to perpetuate of white people, you're evil, you're automatically racist, and you've taken so much from everybody else. We're now allowed...
That's the most racist thing I've heard.
...to treat you as shitty as we like, call you racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic,
South Africa,
whatever.
We'd be murdered. If we were South African white farm owners.
You'd be boiled alive in front of your parents. And it's this attitude of... Some white people were bad back in the day to some black people, and let's be fair... a lot of others, so that makes it okay to abuse modern-day crackers.
I came from a family of northern people. It's not like, well, at least half my family I don't think had any. Half my family I know didn't have slaves, the other half was probably too poor.
Yeah. The other half were slaves. That's fun.
Way too poor.
You know the first slave owner in America was a black guy. Yeah, it's like, we're constantly taking the fall for that, and it's like, fuck you. My ancestors didn't own any slaves. They were from Ireland and Italy. We owned grapevines and sheep.
And you don't want to know about the sheep.
Like Count Dankula. Do I owe sheep money? Is that what I have to do now?
I mean, like, and here's the thing. I'm not saying that things are better now because Obama's out of office or anything like that.
I'm not saying that either.
I took a very controversial stance at the during the last election when I realized that the two worst people possible were going to be our presidential candidates. I mean, I ultimately just put in a write-in candidate. It was someone who was running but not important enough to be on the ballot. And I resigned myself to sitting back and watching the world burn itself. And you know what? I'm probably the only voter, one of the only voters in America that hasn't been disappointed yet with what's happened. No, because it's, you know what? As stupid as it all is, as frightening as it all is, it never stopped being an entertaining fire to watch.
Yeah.
And
that was the best fire ever. Just, mwah.
It's the biggest fire ever. It's huge. No fire, you've never seen one like it before. Yeah.
Fire's great. Fire knows me. I love fire. It's great stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, just...
Got the best fire.
Yeah. Best, trust me, I love fires.
I'm going to say something, this is specifically to piss a bunch of you off, and I hope it does. I think, in my opinion, in my own personal experience, already Trump is a better president than Barack Obama. I got a shit ton of money back on my taxes because of things he put into place. So right off the bat, I cannot name a single tangible thing that improved for me under the Obama administration. I can with the Trump administration. So,
what about
Trump
free
won.
health care? What about...
You know, the fact that I probably have heart, lung, and whatever other kind of cancer right now because I haven't seen a doctor in 7 years... Where's that free health care I keep... Oh, wait, it's okay for me not to have any because I'm white.
Exactly.
Right? Fucking right, you pieces of shit out there. And you know what? All you honkies that are into this shit, you're the worst. I hate you. I hate white people more than I will hate any other race.
Oh, good. Then you're perfect to be a social justice warrior.
I really should just be going around looking at white people. You're evil. You owe people this. That video we watched with the kid... We watched a video before this. Little girl just sitting in a chair.
Lieutenant Corbus.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Doing the typical like I look at that as the Mr. Repsion style because he was the first YouTuber I saw that did that where there's like a lot of hard cutting and shit in the edits, which is good for comedic timing I find. Mm-hmm. But that's what spurred this conversation, and she brought up kind of a really good point. That, and I've been thinking about this for months, that like anti-racism, social justice bullshit has come so far that it's come full circle. Which is appropriate because it's mostly the left, and the left were the ones that started things like the Ku Klux Klan. That's a fact, I'm afraid, and you can't... Well, in this day and age, you can argue facts.
Totally.
But it reminds me, there was a teacher. Stupid... I'm guessing she was white. This was too stupid for a white person, for it not to be a white person. See what this country's doing to me? She had said, we should just teach minorities how to speak in slang because English is too hard for them. So you've come, essentially this is the progression. I want to help out minorities more. Maybe we could offer a special class. Next step. I want to help out minorities more. Maybe we should just put them all in their own classroom. Well, now you're getting into segregation and you're not realizing it.
And that's something I've pointed out to people, you know, when it comes, you look at the history of the Democrat Party, you know.
It's not a nice
history. You have Andrew Jackson, Trail of Tears. This is the party of slavery. This is the party, the Jim Crow laws.
Jim Crow.
Of the KKK, and they fought against civil rights. They are, side note, they're the only party that's ever enacted the draft.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, the camps during World War II, they fought against civil rights. Oh, but now they've changed. But now if you go to a college campus and you ask a young black student what they think, they're going to say they want segregation in the colleges. They haven't changed. They've just moved to who they're going to, and they're using the exact same things, exact same words they used before to get the same result, that they've always been going for, they haven't changed. They are the party of division.
This is it.
Because when you go into identity politics, you are dividing.
Yeah.
Period.
By its very fundamental nature.
Because you are saying that people are fundamentally different on a genetic level, or you're saying it's on a social level, but it comes down to genetics because...
Still, it's right there in the wording. It's right there in the wording. You're deciding people are different.
You're deciding that, and and by doing that, you are deciding that some people need special treatment, and the thing is like all the special treatment they're giving these specific groups, like chosen groups, because Asians don't get this kind of stuff. No, like they basically decided that the groups that they're supporting need their help because they can't do it on their own. Because let's just be honest, they view them as inferior, and that's racism.
That is
racism.
Is the real racism. That Democrat attitude of like, what was it? Was it Ronald Reagan?
You can't do it without us. Yeah, you're like,
I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Scariest words in the fucking English language.
Yeah, and the thing is, and they have an entire generation, of these individuals who have been told, you can't do it. You can't do it. And the last president, Barack Obama, he kept saying, you can't do it. And I'm like, what? You grew up, without a father. Your mother abandoned you to your grandparents. You're a young mixed race kid. You got into college. You got into Harvard.
You ate a dog at one point.
You became a lawyer. You became a politician. You became president of the United States. And you're telling these people that the American dream is dead? You are the American dream. You are the embodiment of everything that it was supposed to be.
American dream.
Yeah, but you're trying to...
Yeah. The irony of that is palpable.
You are everything you say America can't be anymore. It's like you got through, and you're closing the door behind you, saying, "No, you can't do it."
That is probably before we started recording, I said I got to think about what I'm going to say. You probably already know, and I was right.
Yeah, you could have been the inspiration to turn the mentality of the entire country around. That's to say, true. Look, okay, maybe there's police brutality police brutality is not that's going on, and this shouldn't be happening. And maybe there's these other racist things going on. But you know what? I made it. You can make it.
Yeah.
We are above this. That was Martin Luther King pushed. Man. Yeah, Martin Luther King. His whole message was, we don't have to be like that.
Yeah.
By being peaceful rallying. Every time they were attacked, there was no way to spin it. The media, even against them, could not spin it to look as anything other than what it was.
Yeah.
As it was horrible. And
when people getting sprayed with hoses and shit,
there's
painful. Literally no way to go.
It's painful. It's the hard road, but it's the only road to take. A road that says, I don't want to fight. That we will be peaceful.
The hard road is almost always the only real option. Right now, when you're talking about identity politics and social justice, gender bullshit, that's the easy road you're taking right now. Mm-hmm. And as we're seeing with the results of this administration, with Hollywood, with all these things on the left, it's imploding.
Yeah.
Because it's fundamentally flawed.
To simply say this, and this will be considered one of the most racist things you can say, but I will say it. Nobody is incapable of pulling themselves up. I mean, you could say, oh, well, you're white, it's easy for you to say, okay, sure, I've been through some crap. I've had some really hard things that have hit my life on a personal level. Not like social stuff. I'm talking like things that have happened to me. The kind of stuff that leaves somebody emotionally scarred for the rest of their life, and they don't know what to do with it.
Me too.
And you know what? I kind of decided that I wanted to be stronger, and I wanted to overcome it. And those weren't hurdles out in the social world. Those were hurdles within myself. And I'm just saying is that maybe some of these hurdles are within you. And if I can do that, I know anybody else can. Because here's the thing. I know my personal weaknesses. I know my personal flaws. I know my failings. I know I shouldn't be able to overcome any of the problems in my life, and yet I'm finding ways because I refuse to stop. And I'm saying is, fight. Fight the problems in your own life. you may not become the big rich CEO. You probably won't. And you know what? That's fine, because success isn't about the money you make. Success is in here. Okay?
That really is like what Barack Obama should have said at his inauguration day. Like,
Yeah. He was supposed to be
a pretty
the thing,
rousing
he was supposed to be
speech
the
right
thing that was
there.
supposed to change everything and bring us together.
and he didn't.
He did the exact opposite.
And I don't think there's any way to argue that he did because unless you just never watched any news, and you just...
The police acted stupidly when he knew nothing about the
The police
situation.
acted... I remember that shit with the teacher, the professor that got arrested because he was breaking into his own house.
He was,
And instead of just going, officer, I'm sorry, I forgot my key, I can show you my ID, I do live here, he flipped out. Why do you need to see my ID? Because I'm a black man in America? That's like exactly what he said. Oh my God.
No, because you're breaking into a house, and we need to know for sure that that is your house.
I'll never forget, they said that the guy's partner in the car, when he saw that going on, he was just like, oh God, this again. Like, apparently this is just an everyday occurrence during the Obama years, and again, it's not exactly getting better with Trump.
No, because Trump doesn't handle any of these things properly.
No.
But, I mean...
Stop tweeting!
Oh my gosh, stop.
Please!
Please.
Please stop responding to dumbass... I know you used to be like, oh, I'm Trump, you're fired. But please, when Snoop Dogg shoots a clown that looks like you, don't fucking tweet at him about it.
Yeah.
Jesus God, man.
And stop taking everybody's lies that you can't do it without their help. Because the advice I gave, you may not think you can do that. You may not think it applies to you because I'm white and you're, and that's somehow it's easier for me. Okay, look, but I didn't tell you that you needed my help, okay? I offered advice. What you do with it from there is entirely on you. These people that you call your allies, or these white people that want to be your allies,
Honkies.
all they're offering you is saying, oh, we can make it better. Oh, we can help. That's all it is.
And that is, like, again, that's kind of racist.
Remember, this is the party that enslaved you. They
I'm
haven't
white.
changed
I'm
their
really
opinion of you.
Yeah, it's... Like, what is the phrasing? That slavery never went away, it just changed names or whatever.
Yep.
Just changed what we call it. Now it's political slavery. I'm talking about...
And they call anybody...
the votes.
Yeah, and the traitors to your race is anybody who did pull themselves up. And they're trying to tell you, hey, do this, try to do better. It's like, oh, you're just acting what? No.
Yeah, you're just an Uncle Tom. That's what they do every time. The first... I can't remember... Damn it, I know his name. He was like the first black man to be elected like a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas, that was it. That is something to be proud of. He deserves so many pats on the back, and he immediately got called an Uncle Tom because I'm fairly certain he has conservative leanings.
It's not because he's done anything wrong. It's because he doesn't believe that he needed help to get to where he was.
He fell out
or
of
he
step.
didn't need help to get there.
You better toe the line, or we're going to destroy your reputation because that's what we have to do.
Because how dare you tell black people that they don't need our help?
That's why they do this to every single person. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to believe the Bill Cosby controversy.
Oh, yeah.
Because he for years has been saying things like, pull up your damn pants, learn to speak right, and maybe See,
then you can't rely on some people. But
then
but look, like you said, when you went to that high school and they basically took you in.
Yeah.
They basically took him in. I mean, I remember I was at I worked at a warehouse for like a couple of days. And I was working with a couple other guys, a couple white, and there was another guy there who was black, and everybody else there was Hispanic, and nobody spoke English. You wouldn't believe the camaraderie we had across our little diverse bunch. You wouldn't believe the camaraderie in that short time.
Very true.
I mean, and that's not saying anything against people who are Hispanic. I don't have anything negative to say about that. It was just the circumstance we were in. AJ, another example. He doesn't, him and I hit it off, as soon as we met, we hit it off almost immediately. because we didn't put we didn't put barriers between us. Are we different? Yes, but that's because we've allowed ourselves to become so separated mentally that our cultures have become different. And if we go back to the melting pot strategy, we can save Gotham. We can bring this stuff together, and we can take the bad things out of both sides and bring in the good things of both sides, because that's how the whole thing worked. The bad stuff rises to the top and gets pulled away. What's left underneath is pure. That's how smelting works.
We need to get a situation going, like in Ghostbusters 2. Everybody joining hands and singing, and the nasty, mean, and negatively charged psychokinetic slime that is Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and all these other politicians will just melt away.
If we can realize that this is a game set not against black people, a game not set against white people, but against everybody who doesn't hold power. And yeah, I do believe that businesses are involved. I do believe the government is definitely involved. Yeah, they're
on some level.
Yeah, on some levels. The thing is, like, I'm not saying that we need to get rid of all politicians or get rid of all companies. I'm not a socialist.
No.
Well, hashtag re-elect no one. But
hashtag vote Rovergood.
The thing is that it's not, it's not right versus left. It's us against them. It's us against the elite, the people. Because they'll say, we have to tax the rich. Like those taxes on the rich. You ever notice how the rich it doesn't ever seem to affect them?
Yeah.
It's not because we're not taxing them enough. It's because they have a lawyer team that gets them through all the loopholes. But you know who doesn't have that? The small business that's just in the tax bracket and gets taxed completely out of there, so that the big companies just keep rising. This is a game that made to set us against each other, so
and
that we're not against
working.
them. So that we're not against the politicians and the people who collude to do all this stuff.
I don't know why I turned gay when I said that.
I don't know.
It's working!
So, yeah.
That was so offensive.
Stop fighting. Stop pointing fingers. And you know what?
Start working together.
The problem is up here.
Everybody.
The problem is up here.
No, I would say the problem is down here because everybody has their heads up their own asses. And we all need to pull our heads
Present
up.
company included.
Yeah, my head is so far up my ass that it's here again. I'm an infinite loop of head up the ass. Oh.
Yeah. So, when they throw things like a cultural appropriation.
Appropriation.
I'm sorry. When they throw things like that at you, when they throw, what was some of the other stuff they say? Microaggressions.
Microaggressions, I love those.
Or
soft sexism.
Yeah, sexism, anything like that. Like,
let me mansplain to you what soft sexism is.
Yeah. When they throw that stuff at you, just like, no, don't play that game.
And here's how you know if you are playing that game. Let me run this by you. Every one of those arguments essentially has something in common. Well, for one, it's not a real argument, but two, all of those things are so vague so as to be, there is no way to argue against most of these arguments. At the same time, there's nothing that you can really do to say in favor of them because it's a generalization of everybody. Mm-hmm. You can say...
Ultimately, it's just a distraction from the real issues.
That's what it boils down to.
They're trying to. Kevin Spacey just tried to dodge out of his sexual allegations by coming out as gay. I'll just say claiming to be gay. And you know what? I'm so glad that no one's buying into it because a month ago it would have worked.
Yeah.
A month ago it would have worked, and everybody would have just gone, "Oh, that's fine." No.
Hashtag Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. The everything's falling apart right now, guys, and you know what? Let's add racial tensions and all this SJW garbage to the list of things that just need to die. Because here's the thing: though I do fall farther on the right wing scale, a strong Democrat Party, one that isn't so stupid about things, will make a better right wing.
Yeah, really.
Will force it.
Both sides have become a
They
completely
both-
different beast.
They both become monsters that nobody controls. And, I want to see things get better. And that's ultimately where I'm coming from on this. So I'm done.
Sort of a part of me. I'd like to see things get better, but if they just keep getting worse, I will ride this as long as I can.
Like I said, I'm watching the world burn.
Here's the thing. If I'm getting eaten by locusts, but there's somebody across from me that I hate also getting eaten by locusts, I can live with that. Hey, that asshole. Okay. Go ahead, eat my flesh.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything else I can add to this.
I'm going to do a supercut of every one of the speeches you've done here and set it to really inspiring music. Because some of that was very good. Like, for being just completely unscripted, we're just sitting here talking. I didn't expect this to go anywhere intelligent, really, but it somehow did. I'm going to get called racist probably for having these views anyway, so I may as well just drop some...
just telling somebody that they can do it.
You're racist!
That you can overcome your race. Yeah.
I believe in each and every one of you. I believe you all have the power to pull yourselves out of whatever life has you down in and to be somebody. You're only saying that because you're white, you racist! That's, again, it's one of those vague arguments.
Yeah, see, that's something I was talking actually with my girlfriend about last night, which was it's the negative feed loop of victimhood.
Yes.
The answer is I'm a victim and I'm a victim.
The argument,
I am not responsible for anything that I do. So no matter what, that's the whole mentality. So no matter where you hit that from, you don't get through. And the problem is we have a whole generation of people like that.
That have been raised on this, spoon-fed their whole life.
That being a victim is the highest place in society that you can be.
Which is
that's why they make up. That's why Tumblr made up all those genders, because they had to be special. I'll say this, okay? If you want an idea of white privilege, here it is. It was a bunch of young white girls or men who want to be girls making things up so that they could be special, they could be victims too, because they knew if they weren't victims, they were just going to be oppressors because that's how their minds work and they couldn't stand it, so they made stuff up.
I need a minute to let that one sink in. That was, again, like, you've just been holding this in, haven't you?
That right there is your white. That there is your white privilege right
He's
there.
had all of this just, like, chambered, I think.
Oh.
Just waiting for me to be, hey, let's talk politics and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. This is what's sitting on politics and not talking about them for a year because politics went to crap. This is what happens.
I think another product of the whole, those arguments we've talked about, and it's not working that much anymore, due in part to Trump, let's be honest. Trump has inspired a lot of people to be a little more boisterous.
He's inspired people to stand up and start shouting. The other fact of the matter is we've been doing this for 8 years solid now.
Yeah, this is just starting to get stale.
Guilt. Yes, and it's getting
I don't
stale.
feel guilt anymore. I could kill someone right now and I'd be, well, what did you expect? I'm Adrian.
But
that's a joke, people.
But yeah, like
I'm saying, I don't feel guilt. I don't have any remorse.
But left. That's why I kind of knew that Hillary wasn't going to win, because
I was dreading that she would win.
I kind of knew she wasn't going to win because I knew that playing she's a woman and if you don't vote for her, it's sexist was just like saying, he's black, so you don't vote for him, you're racist.
That is the fucked up part, because she even said
it was
that,
8 solid years of people
women only voted the way they did because their husbands told them to. Way to support your fellow woman, Hillary,
Because they need to be told what to do, too. They can't win without the Democrats' help, either. If you don't vote... If you're a woman, you don't vote Democrat...
Now, these arguments...
You must hate women because women just can't do it themselves.
Those are all... That mentality right there bringing me back to
Because
what I was
you're
saying,
a victim.
is not only supposed to make you a victim, but it's also supposed to shut people like me down. Because you bring up the race card, for so many years, white people would just be like, oh, God, no, I don't want any part in that, you win. You bring up the gender card with these feminazis and stuff, and so many men back in the day would just be like, okay, I don't want to get into that, you win. Now it's getting to the point where you play the race card, and the person will be like, oh, this has declined.
Yeah.
It declined
And the
about
thing
8
is,
years
after
ago.
8 years of that, it didn't sink through anymore. And add to that the
Why are you
fact
on
that
camera?
usually after an election, politics start to die down. And they haven't. Yeah. And they haven't died down, and they just keep going. Everybody's getting kind of burned out. And it's to the point where nobody cares what Trump does.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I can't anymore. I can't be on this. People needed their break after the election. They were in dire need of it because it didn't really die down as much during the 8 years of Obama. And that's the fault of everybody, I'm going to say. Fox never quit. The left-wing media stuff never quit. Nobody quit. The tension was a lot higher than it usually was. Even during like Bush years, there were points where it died down. There was no real good break, and we were looking for that break after Trump won, and they cranked it up. They cranked it up even after an election year. They cranked it up.
That was something.
And nobody wants to hear it anymore.
I was looking so forward to, now that you mentioned that. Was
Yeah.
Trump won. They're all going to have to shut up now.
Remember when I said I was going off Facebook for 2 weeks?
Yeah, that was
And
a good idea.
I usually did that because
Very good idea.
I do that like after elections because I don't care. I don't care who wins. I just don't want to hear it for 2 weeks. Because I know you guys are going to be screaming the loudest then.
Facebook is the worst place ever.
Usually
for
it
that.
goes down. And it hasn't. And there's still people throwing stuff up like, Trump did this and it's terrible. And there's other people throwing stuff up going, Trump did this and it's amazing. And I can't stand either of you.
Look,
Everything has to be political now.
bottom line, yeah,
And we're
really.
tired
And
of
that's one of the reasons the flag protest hasn't been going well for the NFL. That's one of the reasons
Because nobody wants it.
that as soon as I started watching Patton Oswalt's new special, as soon as he started talking about Trump, I was like, yeah, I'm done. Sorry. I love you, Patton.
The NFL.
But I don't want to hear about politics
Do you
everywhere.
want to understand why people hate the NFL protests? It's not because of who's doing it. It's because the sports world was the one place Americans could go to.
It was the last batch.
The last place. And there wasn't politics there, or as long as you were watching it on ESPN. You could go to sports, you could watch it, you could
It was
enjoy it.
pure, and then one day some dipshit did this during the anthem and ruined it.
And you know why he doesn't have a job? It's not because he kneels. It's because he throws like 11 interceptions to the Miami Dolphins.
His record was horrible right before they let him go. Did anybody read? I don't even like sports.
I'm guessing that's how many interceptions was. I know it was an absurd number. And no, Michael Vick got back. Michael Vick was black, and he was in hot water because he did dog fighting. But the Eagles brought him back in. You know why? Because he wasn't half bad. And it's the Eagles, and they needed somebody.
I was about to say, because it's the fucking
Browns
Eagles.
won't bring in Kaepernick. Whatever. I've heard it pronounced a couple different ways. I have.
Okay.
The Browns.
I'll let you have that one.
Yeah. The Browns don't even want him. What does that tell ya? He wasn't that good, he would be a discount.
Now, shouldn't they change the name of that team because it's racist?
Give them a few minutes after this video is loaded, and it'll be everywhere. That's the takeaway. That's the takeaway from this video. The Browns are racist. Hashtag the Browns are racist.
I don't have anything catchy.
Hashtag Browns racist. See? Oh, I'm not saying that. That's a little too far.
This is going to be a fun video to edit. I will say that.
Yep.
Zoomed into my deck.